Hello, I'm Rob Cartmel from ProTrust Consulting, and this is a short video to explain a little bit about the options for ongoing reviews of your wills and lasting powers of attorney and estate planning generally. This is just a short brief, really, to explain the correspondence that we'll be sending out to you, our clients. And those people we're talking to here are all the people that have done their wills and trusts or lasting powers of attorney with us over the last 4 or 5 years since we started as Robert Cartmel Consulting and now ProTrust Consulting. So if we have done a will or lasting power of attorney for you at some point and that we hold those documents for you, it is good practice for us to contact you to explain what we hold and to suggest a format for you to choose the best way of those documents and your estate planning being reviewed going forward. That will help us plan ourselves and our resources so that we can help you to do that process. It should give you peace of mind and clarity in how things are going to be reviewed. They don't have to be reviewed regularly or at all. So it's purely down to you to decide, but hopefully we can guide you. And all I was going to do here is really run through the sort of standard letter or template letter that we're going to send to you. It will be a letter that I've gone through personally and looked at all of the documents we've done, what I might suggest is applicable for you right now, and the options for the future. But the standard approach we've agreed across the board for all our clients, so our little team here, agreeing what we should be doing. So I thought I'd just take you through it as a basic template so that you can then look at this video if you need to, just to decide what is appropriate. So if I just share my screen, then you can follow it with me and hopefully look at the letter that you've got and just sort of have an understanding. So we'll be writing to you as a client of either my former firm as such, the Robert Cartmel Consulting, or ProTrust Consulting that we are now. So it will say which year we prepared your documentations or when we last did. So this is setting out a review process to keep you up to date and informed regarding those documents and to ensure that they continue to reflect your ongoing wishes and your changing circumstances. So really, it's a big objective for me and our firm. We want to feel that your matters are fully up to date at all times. Yeah, it really will give us peace of mind here that you've got the peace of mind that everything is fully up to date. So this letter that we send out will cover a brief summary of the documents we completed for you. Then, and they will be summarized here, the dates, what type of document they are, and who's involved. Then we'll confirm what wills or other documents we are storing for you. And that's here. And then if anything has come to our minds as something that you ought to be looking at doing when we're just been reviewing this, then we will just mention it in the paragraph below here. So, for example, if you have done your wills or wills and trusts, but you haven't yet managed to get to doing lasting powers of attorney, then that is something that we ought to flag up for you. And then the options for ongoing estate planning reviews. So I just wanted to go through that with you particularly here. So in the letter or attached to the letter or underneath in this document, there'll be some suggested options. So let's have a look at those. So forgive me scrolling down. There we go. So this hopefully will help explain this. We would like to take the time and opportunity to review all our clients' existing wills and trusts and powers of attorney to ensure they're kept up to date and to cover if circumstances have changed. And of course, having been engaged to deal with those matters originally for you, we hold a good deal of information and knowledge as to your circumstances, your assets, your wishes, family circumstances. So reviewing on an ongoing basis, for example, to check whether your family and financial circumstances have changed, or to ascertain whether your intended bequests are in line with how your current wishes are, if that's a natural extension of that process, it should be straightforward for us to do that for you. Therefore, we as a firm need to have an agreement with our own clients in estate planning regarding the extent to which we have that ongoing responsibility for doing that process. So, yeah, we're in the process of contacting everyone to seek feedback and instructions on the best way and the optimum way of having this review service. So your feedback on this would be excellent, thank you, so that we can optimize not only for you, but also our other clients. So in terms of in this letter, what client means here is anyone that we've assisted to prepare a will, a power of attorney, a trust in a will or a lifetime trust, we've given advice to, or inheritance tax planning advice and estate planning advice, or where we're just storing your documentation. And we've just approached this in three options. Hopefully it's straightforward for you to consider. We've graded them A, B, or C. If you prefer to have a specific other arrangement, do let me or my team know. So grade A is an annual review, and we put a cost in here, which essentially is about an hour's work charge, and for a couple, 1.5 hours work, comprising a full annual review of your file and estate planning. So that would be reviewing all the documents, all the information that we took, whether there was anything mentioned there that ought to have been looked at later. We'll also have a meeting with you. Now that can be usually best done by a Teams or Zoom call, but of course, and if it's preferable to have it as a face-to-face meeting, we can arrange that. And then a summary letter of advice just following that. So what comprises the annual review? We will review your estate planning file and all documentation that we hold, including your will, your fact find, any outstanding points. We'll check your lasting powers of attorney, that they're up to date and in accordance with how it was expressed to be undertaken. We'll particularly review your assets, and we will, if we don't already have a spreadsheet IHT, inheritance tax calculation form, I will put it onto a spreadsheet so that we can review that going forward. That will have your assets, your liabilities, and your appropriate tax reliefs, so that you've got a handle on what the value of your estate is and what it's likely to be as the law stands with inheritance tax. And obviously checking it with any trusts that you may have already set in place, any registration requirements, if there's any variation or anything that flags up in our minds as good advice to give you. And then we'll arrange a meeting or discussion, and this runs alongside our annual review and letter of advice. This lets us talk through the matter with you, and I really do suggest for lots of people, it's then over the years helpful to have members of your family involved in these meetings so that they have a handle on how your estate planning works and what your will says and your wishes are. And then our letter of advice confirms that and any next steps that we suggest. So that's, I suppose, in an ideal world, what we would suggest everyone does. But of course, people have completely different views on how often they should review their estate planning. I was speaking to someone this morning, she said, well, I intend to do that every 10 years. So that's absolutely fine. But I would say then, say in our example here, grade B would be a 2-year review. And the cost to put in there, which is the same process as grade A, but just conducted every other year rather than annually. And then if that if you do not want to, I suppose, pay for a review service, then essentially C is at no cost to you, which just basically as it probably stands now, with your file being stored and ready to receiving instructions from you as you may require going forward. But just to say that as that occurs, then we're not responsible then to you for reviewing the file and for providing updated law and information. We will, of course, endeavour to do so, and to provide, we would like to provide you a newsletter at regular intervals, if according to how the laws have been updated and any changes. But we're not responsible to you for doing so. I hope this is helpful to give a brief summary of that. I really would appreciate feedback from you, of course, on this, and as we go forward reviewing these files, whether it is helpful, whether reviewing your matters with you and those documents is a helpful process. I found it helps. I'm sure the experience has been positive for those who are doing this currently with us, and it's an enjoyable process, and it feels fulfilling to us, and I think for them too. So thank you for listening, and we look forward to hearing from you further. Take care.